Okay, so here I'm going to finally try to do the character point system review. So I'm not really going to watch through much of this. I might see like a little second or segment, or you can kind of still see the subtitles as you scroll through, but I want to see... again, episodes 1 through 6, and every noteworthy character point moment. So again, I'm going to go... The first scene, right, is a good example of a negation tactic, right, where... of monks. Like, he's worried about the oven and the stove, but he's also coming up with some great deductions. So I think ultimately between this scene and the next scene of him choosing the drapes with the captain in there, saying that the drapes show that he was a sniper and this and that, he used part of the blinds, all of that combined with this is a net positive of 1. Whereas arguably being worried about the stove and stuff could be a -1, but that would negate with this first scene, but the second scene is a net positive for his deduction with the blinds and everything like that and the height. So that, see, he still gets a net positive +1. Sharona might get a +1 for trying to calm him down and stuff, but I guess I won't even give that. But I think what I do at the beginning, too, of series is I give, like, 1 just for their overall disposition. So I'll give... So Monk almost gets a -1 for his disposition, but, again, let me see. Monk gets +1 for his overall inquisitive disposition, and then, so he's a +1 net. Sharona gets a +1 for helping him and sort of trying to keep him focused, right? So they're both at a net +1. Then Monk gets a -1 for his concern about the stove and, idiosyncratic nature that he's fixating on that too much. Then he gets a +1 for his deduction there, right? So right now he's at a +1 and Sharona's at a +1, right? I guess at this point it doesn't matter so much what it's for, but I have to know exactly what they're at. So they're both at a +1, right? Because his whole movement has been, he starts at a +1 for his deductive nature and everything that he kind of shows in that same scene. No, I guess that should probably count then only as a 1, though. I mean, I guess it's the scene, but it's also representative of them, so... So he'd be at a +1, she'd be at a +1, and then he's at a -1, so 0, because he, has that idiosyncratic moment, and then he does the, other good deductive moment coming up. So the point is he should be at a +1. He's at a +1 and then a -1, and then he'll get another +1 coming up when he does the whole thing with the blinds and everything. The therapy session is kind of a neutral. Stottlemeyer's disposition gets him a +1. So again, Sharona's a +1 for being sort of generally just helpful to Monk. Then Monk is a +1 for deduction. The blind scene most recently. And then Stottlemeyer is a +1 for his overall good disposition. That he's not too forceful. So, this scene is telling for Monk because you get that he knocks the board over, but then he puts it back. So that's just a net neutral because, yes, he gets to show off his ability to do that, but he also gets to the fact that he did it in the first place. But this one is the blind moment, so we saw that. Then, see, again, this thing with the keys, that would be impressive, but the fact that he drops them negates it. So, it's one thing if he was doing it to, pickpocket something off somebody. Then he questions the wife or whatever. So that's like a +1, I guess, scene for his interrogation skill, so he's at a net +2. Sharona's still at a +1. Stottlemeyer's at a +1. There's not that many characters to keep track of, because the minor characters don't matter unless they're really recurring. Then he doesn't want to go down because of his shoes. What does he actually do in this scene, though? I forget. Let's see what this conversation is when he's like afraid to go down because of his shoes. Or he almost gets hit by the car. So I guess that's a -1 because it's a plot armor count. The fact that so he's a +1. Then I guess I didn't count that the first time I was going through this. And he gets a +1 for and a -1. -1 for stalking her on her date, but then a +1 for finding stuff out about the guy. But that's still maybe like a net negative, because that's kind of a weird thing to do. Then I won't give Sharona even a -4 freaking out at the end there, because it's sort of justified. So a lot of what he's doing is negating itself. Like, see, he comes in, and that's a negative, the fact that he's even there. But then he justifies it by his thing. But then she's justified. So, again, Sharona's still at a +1. Monk is still at a +1. Right, he lost one for the... He got one for the questioning of the wife, and then he loses one for the plot armor save. The fact that he needed that to... The fact that he wasn't more aware of that, I suppose. And then you see the things on the... At the ending here. So yeah, Stottlemeyer's at a +1. Mainly for his overall disposition, that he's not too unfair. Sharona's at a +1. And for her helpful disposition overall, and Monk is at a +1 for his deductive reasoning, and he would be at a +2 because of his questioning too. But then he loses one for, like, the plot armor save moment. And now we're on episode 2. This one starts off construction site, and I guess I haven't paid any mind to his assistant there. Stottlemeyer always has his right hand who comes up with like that reverse liposuction theory. I don't think I care enough about him, but maybe if he does something substantial, I could consider that. So let's see. I don't think anything significant happens there. You have a scene at the cemetery. You have a scene here on the TV. You have another scene like involving a car chase, which I don't know what that is. This one could be a +1 moment, the fact that he's able to put that thing back together, from shredded paper. Right, at any of these kind of moments. Generally, this scene, he's more on point. He's not really quirky or gimmicky. You could say he's just doing that out of OCD, but that'll bring him back up to a +2. I don't like to hand these out for nothing, like just every little thing somebody does, but that was pretty valuable. And this one, he keeps saying, oh, the picture is me, the picture is me. Then I guess I'll give him a -1 for being so fixated on the picture, and that sort of distracts him in that scene. Or this is kind of a good... No, I guess this one will negate itself, so we'll still do... Keep him at a +2. He finds out about the affair, then he looks at the picture. See, now this one on the ladder, I'm going to kind of say that... Okay, so he's at a +2 now, still. A lot of it is just him negating a lot of his negatives that would be genuine negatives. That he's just kind of acting like a clown, but then he redeems it. This one I won't actually hold against him. And the reason why is because... Or I will. Like... He goes from a +2 to a 1, right, because of the ladder incident that he lets the guy go. But he also is the only one to identify the thing on his shoe, and that he catches him in a way, too, that he gets ahead of the cops, and, you know, that's not his responsibility. The cops tell him just wait off to the side, we'll take care of it, but they don't find him, and he does find him. So the fact that he finds him as a +1, negated by the fact that he gets stuck on the ladder, right? So it's hard for me to say... And I don't know if that should count as a plot armor moment. I don't know if the assassin really notices him or recognizes him in that moment. Or maybe that's just such a significant clown moment that I shouldn't negate that. Like the fact that he's the one to notice him and catch up with him, but then, oh, he just can't deliver on it because of his fear of heights and stuff. I don't know, that one seems so severe that it almost should be just a net -1, but I'm actually not going to do that because, again, it wasn't his responsibility. And he goes out of his way and finds him when nobody else can. So that's still going to be a neutral, right? It's a -1 for that, but then it's a +1 for finding him. So I disagree. Yeah, Stottlemyre gets a -1 there because that reaction doesn't make sense. He's chiding him. The monk is still at a +2, Sharona's at a +1. And Stottlemyre gets a -1 here, very clear. Because, again, think about what he said. He said, oh, we'll take care of it. We have a whole police force here, highly capable, and we'll catch him. And not only do you fail to catch him, but Monk is doing your job for you when you just told him, wait on the side of the street, you don't have to do anything. But then he goes out of his way to try to help you, and then fails to completely catch him. And now he's the one to blame when you weren't even relying on him, and your cops are so incompetent that they didn't do their job and he had to do it. So he gets from a +1 to a 0 now. As a parking garage scene, I don't think anything happens there. He certainly gets a +1 for the final reveal moment here, with the little gambit with Sharona and stuff. And in fact, even Sharona, I would give a +1 here, because she's so going above and beyond to help with the shooting of the gun and everything, right? So not every case you solve is going to be a +1, but typically it's still impressive how they've done it here. So you have, so he's at a +3, right? And then Sharona is at a +2, right? And she's being so helpful in this. Now you have the thing where he gets shot, and then, I don't know if he died or not. The campaign manager gets shot. Then... And then we see him take the gun from this guy. So, I mean, this whole thing involving, you know, he chases him down and he shoots him successfully. So now he's at a +4 because he steals the gun and he shoots him. That altogether could be a +1. Even though he's a bit nervous about it, he does his part. So I'm assuming he got him. They don't really elaborate too much on that. I was almost having that fan theory, you know, coming up with the theory where I wanted that guy to survive, and he was the one who actually killed Trudy, and you established him as such a capable character that he still escaped, and he happened to just be the assassin, so you could pursue him as a major villain who's highly capable, who survived getting shot, who did, you know, when he got shot by the guy who hired him, and is this very skilled assassin we've established, and he posed as in the wheelchair, and he escaped from the cops. Like, he's done all these exploits, so he would be good to set him up as a major villain. Like, he's the one who actually did it, but then you still have to find out who hired him, and you still have to catch him because he gets away again. I came up with, like, that whole theory, so for now, Stottlemyre would be at a 0 because we got the minus point, right? And the reason why is because he was chiding Monk, even though he's doing your job for you. Then Sharona, I tried to call her Trudy. Sharona is at a +2, and the reason why is because of her overall helpful personality throughout, and then also, like, you get, like, 1 general trait point, and then you get 1 for, the final gambit helping with that. So +2 for Sharona, 0 for Stottlemyre, and +4 for Monk now. And so now we go into episode 3. So again, Sharona 2, Stottlemyre 0, Monk 4. So let's see. I'm not going to remember necessarily every scene as I'm doing this, but they have a first conversation. I don't notice anything too crazy there. The whole psychic aspect. He gets a +1, so Monk is at a 5 because of the he gets a +5 because up to a +5 because he immediately identifies something's wrong with the tree and, like, the trajectory of the thing, of the crash. Let's see this scene quickly. I like the implication that the commissioner who did it actually wants Adrian on the case because he thinks he's a clown and he's gonna mess up the case because he's still recovering. Not for long. I hope we miss you. See, he's totally doing it because he's the culprit, and he thinks he's such a clown, right, that he's going to mess it up. Or at least at this point, he's a clown. Right, why else would he be willing to do that? So, he's at a +5 now. And I think, I don't know, this is going to take a while. Well, this could be a -1 for Stottlemyre because he believes in Dolly Flint. She was photographed alone in the car, but she was actually, it was the guy wearing the wig, I guess. I guess that's a -1 for Stottlemyre, so he's a -1 for believing that Dolly actually got something right. So, again, Sharona's at a +2, and she's going to swiftly get a -1 now for believing in the psychic herself. So, Stottlemyre's at a -1, Monk's at a +5 now. I'm surprised he's not getting more negatives, actually. I feel like I'm almost being too generous. He has a conversation with the guy here. You don't want the things around to remind you. So they have different ways of grieving. That doesn't necessarily mean you did it, but... That was kind of cute. Sharona's trying to build him up a little bit. We're getting offers from all around the country. Sharona's actress is really good, though. Like, she gets across a really strong vibe without being too annoying or without being too, I don't know, like one-dimensional. So she gets a -1 now for believing in the psychic a little bit. Then, so again, he's at a +5, Monk, and then she's at a +1, and then Sotomayor's at a -1. And then I think Monk gets a -1 for this one, where Monk gets a -1 for dropping something in the store, like a clown. So he's at a 4. And then he has a typical moment where he accuses him directly. So he's at Monk's at a 4, Sharona's at a 1, and Sotomayor's at a -1. And then I guess the final gambit deserves sort of a +1 for, I mean, I don't want it to be like where every single time, but it is. I mean, it was a good gambit. They pretend like the chick is dead, so you're at back to a +5. Because he was at a 5, then he went to 4 from that was like a net negative, so he's back to 5. It really seems like I'm being too generous, but, so again, Sharona's at a 1, then Sotomayor's at a -1, and then Monk is at a 4, right? It's so hard to keep track of this. So Sotomayor, actually, I'm giving him more negatives than I remember. He gets a -1 for being so cloak and dagger, not telling Monk what the case is about in this one for a while. Right, so he's at a -2, Sharona's at a 1, and Monk's at a 5. Now, Dale the Whale would get a couple himself, but it's no use, I guess, if he's not going to be a recurring character. He sort of gets under his skin. Sharona gets a +1 and a -1. And the +1 is that she is willing to go undercover by taking care of Dale, but then also a -1 that she goes out with the guy and gets distracted, the doctor, the same way that she got distracted like by the psychic. Stottlemyre scene with the reverse liposuction. Randy. Even there, he's wholesome. It's a stupid theory, but then he's just nice about it. Then they figure out with the doctor because of his age or something. Do you deserve another +1 for just solving the case? Like, you know they're going to solve the case every time. Coming up with the theory was crazy. Like, I don't know how I could deny that. So, Sotomayor's at a -2. And then or you know what, he gets a +1 though for episode 1 that I forgot. For where he says you do have to listen to this when he stands up for Monk. So Stottlemeyer's at a -1, Sharona's at a 1. Because again, she keeps getting distracted by these people like the psychic and the guy. So -1 Stottlemeyer, 1 Sharona, and 5 for Monk. Or maybe even it's going to be 6 if I include this. Like the solving of the case. Right, so he's at a 6. Wait, we got 2 more left. This is a little painful, but again, he's at a 6. Monk is at a 6. Stottlemeyer is at a -1, and Sharona is at a 1. Let's go through 2 more of these. So this is the Ferris wheel one, and Stottlemeyer will definitely get a -1, so he's back to a -2 for not vouching for Monk here. Especially after he does you a solid by helping your guy get his badge back. So Monk is 6, Stottlemeyer is -2, I guess, then. Again, because he went back to a -1 because of the episode 1 thing standing out for him. So again, 6 for Monk, 1 for Sharona, and -1, but becoming -2 for Stottlemeyer. And the driving moment brings Monk down to a 5, just because he's a clown there and there's no redeeming aspect to it. He can do such delicate things, but then he struggles with something like this. There's the scene with the other cop. You got this Casey Anthony role player chick. Then the guy hit himself with that thing. The coins to make himself look beat up. Then this is the moment Stottlemeyer obviously got the -1. Then you get to see Monk actually in his outfit. Is there someplace I could reach you? Or this is the mastermind who, yeah, why don't you go out with him too, Sharona? We could. So yeah, Stottlemeyer lets you down there. -2 +1, and then 5 because of the driving. And then I guess solving the case is going to bring him back to 6. But then his struggle on the Ferris wheel, I don't know what I should consider that. Like his willingness to do it is a +1, but then the fact that he doesn't accomplish anything, that could just be a net -1. I guess he sort of distracts him a little bit, but I'm going to actually consider that a net minus, though, because that's a little different, where I appreciate his willingness to do it, but in the end, he just hangs up on there himself and just doesn't really accomplish anything. So he'll go back down to a 5. I thought that was going to be some big moment to show that he's ready, but it almost just shows that he isn't. So he's at a 5, Sotomayor -2, Sharona +1. And then the last one. This is really difficult to do, which is why I got to use this recording as a reference then to see, look back. So he's at a... Monk's at a 5, Sotomayor is at a -2, and this chick is at a +1, Sharona. So Sharona, I can already tell you, gets a major +1 for that little gambit that she does with the thing, with the color, glow-in-the-dark color. That was so good. So that's 1. So she's at a +2 from that. Monk honestly gets a -1 for his going into the wrong house and all that. So the monk is at a 4, Sharona's at a 2. Sotomayor is going to stay at a -2 because he doesn't even appear in this episode. Maybe just for taking the call and believing them, but I don't know if he was even there at the end. I don't even remember it. So yeah, he's at a 4 and she's at a 2. I guess that's pretty much it. Most of this episode is more just character interest, so it's not so much something that would give character points. Oh yeah, and Sharona gets another one for going to the library and taking the initiative. So she does that, and then she also does the glow-in-the-dark thing. So she does 2 very amazing things. And even the way she flirts with the guy at the library and does that could almost be 3. But just for her willingness to go there and do that. So she's at a +3. He's going to be at a +5. For obviously solving the case. Although that's almost like a plot armor moment. Or, you know what? I guess I have to give him +2 there because 1 for solving the crime, but 1 for escaping from that, which I don't know how the hell he did that, and I kind of dislike it. But that whole gambit too. So he goes up to a +6. He goes up to a +6. 1 for the whole gambit, making the guy trip on the thing and doing all that and escaping from it. And then 1 for actually solving the case. So Monk ends here at a +6. Sharona is at a +3 for her amazing glow-in-the-dark gambit and also the library gambit. And then Sotomayor remains at a -2. So the difference between this and how it was at the beginning was I think Sotomayor was doing a little better. He was at least in the positive. But yeah, that'll be the final count. So yeah, Monk at 6, Sharona at 3, and Sotomayor at -2 is going to be exactly what we have to do.